This will be our week. Okay, better still, lecture 4 discussion. We have already done lectures 1, 2, and 3 together interactively. You can go ahead even to lecture 8. The slides are there if you want to. But the one we've done together in class and interacted on is what I'm referring to. And that will mean we've done unit 1 for lecture 1, unit 2 for lecture 2, and unit 3 for lecture 3. Unit 5 now will be the next one for lecture 4, because we will not engage unit 4 as a textbook content. Okay, so it is lecture 4, but the unit we are focusing on will be unit 5, and it is on the empirical versus the normative. And I think that is a relatively very easy and accessible content that we should be done with in no time, if you would cooperate, and I think you will. So what did you see in that unit? The whole unit is what I'm projecting. I put what you have at your resource tool so that it's easier for us. I think it has all that we need, so we shouldn't be stressed. Can I have one of you read very quickly what we have on the unit? Raise your hand and I'll call you to read. Okay, so Nancy, if you go ahead, start for us. Godfrey, be on standby.
Okay. Session overview. Think of an example where someone is criticizing on moral grounds the legitimacy or justness of a civil statute, a statute, or a law. Imagine a situation where there seems to be a conflict between something that is an accepted practice on legal grounds, but is regarded as unacceptable on moral grounds. These
Very good. Don't go
examples
ahead. Don't go ahead. Thank you, Nancy. So you would see that just the beginning introduces us to various connotations of the word law, which we saw when we looked at unit 2. You will see then that this is really a repetition. I keep telling the groups when I meet them. For our group and the nature of the discussions we had, we shouldn't even do a whole unit 5 again, because everything there has been captured. When we looked at how people equivocate on the word free, I wavered into the area of people equivocating on the word law, and how it is that the word law could mean civil, it could mean statutory, it could mean mathematical law, it could be a logical law, it could even be empirical law, scientific law, and how I almost overly elaborated on that to show you that there's the way we enforce empirical law. It's not the way we enforce our civil laws. Okay, we'll take it slowly. I suspect we may be able to share your lecture with your colleagues, so we'll be a bit more extensive than we should. But that is the point. So just on this slide, we are being reminded that, look, you may be arguing with someone over their disregard for a moral law when the person is not talking moral, the morality of the law, he's talking the legality. Okay, is it statutory? So when we go ahead, you see that I give you instances. Apartheid was legal in South Africa then. That was the law. You see, which sense of the word law? What was accepted what in their civil codes, or if you like, their statutory codes? It was the law to be separatist like that, and yet it offended another law, which is the moral law. Okay, Adolf Hitler's instruction, if you like to speak, to exterminate Semites, Jews, was the law. I'm quoting Martin Luther King Jr., my social and political philosophy. That was the law. The law said the Jew must not live. You see, so it was the law in terms of what the state legalized, legal, and yet it offended the law. If you think of law as what is morally acceptable. This was the argument of all the civil rights advocates that fought against that. America didn't permit blacks then to even vote. The black and the white couldn't attend the same church. building. I think the Holy Spirit's reception will be blocked if there were blacks. Then America, human rights America now. Okay. That was the law. Women could not do certain things. That was the law. So which sense of the word law? That's why the starting point, just the first slide tells you, when you hear law, when you hear someone is breaking the law or people contending over, a law matter, you have to clarify. Could it be that the thing is acceptable legally and yet morally frowned upon, or customarily required and yet statutorily not, binding? That should help us take up very well, so that we remember that when we are dealing with the term law, we are dealing with an open textured term. That's the first one. But more importantly, it has several connotations. So we want to avoid being ambiguous or equivocal. You see now how we tie in all the words and the concepts you've learned. Yes, we want to avoid that. And then it will help us in our assessment of what claims that have been made when we get to unit 6 and 7. If the reasoning is deductive, you'll find that out later. It will be because you are dealing with a normative law. The law in question is fixed. It shows you how you should do things. When I say fixed, that's what I mean. Modus ponens is a structure. That's how you must. So let's go slowly so that you don't get out of yourself. We don't get ahead of ourselves. But when we are dealing with inductive law or inductive reasoning, you will see then that there's a degree of likelihood of what? Probability there. Of course, we could create an argument that is dealing with empirical, claims, and yet the reasoning will be deductive. So let's leave that for the future when we get it. But back to where we are. We are trying to clarify two ways of thinking of the word law. To go on to that, we want to revise what we have done in the past. So I'll ask your colleague, I think, who was the next person after Nancy? I asked you to be on standby so you can read now. Was it Jerry? Go ahead, sir. Yes, please go ahead. Read the current slide. Please take off the headphone there. Take off the headphone and speak directly so we can hear you. Mm-hmm.
Can you hear me now?
It's better. Go ahead.
Factual statements are expressions that describe the way the world is. What this means is that we give a report of the way the world is as we experience them with our senses. We call them empirical because they are expressions derived from experience or observation, and they are verifiable. Value judgment, on the other hand, are expressions that describe or evaluate the way the world or things or someone should or ought to be. Call them normative because they are fixed standards or norms to describe or evaluate an action or behavior or something.
Good job. Well done. I have some special students that sometimes depend on the hearing part, even though they have their own means of, extracting the content, but they like to participate. And so I'll ask someone else to read again. Please give us a very clear background for the benefit of our special students. Okay, so let us call Jerry. Jerry, do you want to do us the honors? Just repeat what your colleague read. Fine. Okay, just read it again. Let me see if it will be louder. Go ahead.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. That's better.
Factual statement versus value judgment. Factual statements are expressions that describe the way the world is. What this means is that they give a report of the way the world is as we experience them with our senses.
Mm-hmm.
We call them empirical because they are expressions derived from experience or observations, and they are verifiable.
Good.
Value judgment, on the other hand, are expressions that prescribe or evaluate the way the world or things or someone should or ought to be.
Good.
We call them normative because they state standards or norms to prescribe or evaluate an action or behavior, or something.
Well done. Good job. Thank you both. So this is a review. This is not the time to do that lecture again. It's just for you to remember what we did in Unit 1 on types of declaratives and why it says that we call certain declaratives factual in nature. They are either factually true or factually false. As we call others value judgment. And then even further on, others we call definitions. Now, what is happening is that we need to review that to help us see what is happening here in Unit 5, where we contrast two categories of what law, two ways of understanding broadly what we call law, a law. A law may either be just a description. Everyone look on my screen, please. A law may only be a description of, second bullet now, look on my screen, the regularities, the uniformities we have observed. Observation meaning factually done. We use our five senses to see, hear, touch, taste, and smell, and saw that in the past, whenever ladies got pregnant, they took seed, for example, they delivered in 9 months. We saw that with Abu, Zainab. We saw that with Nancy. We saw that with Yaya, also with Papa. Each one of these ladies in the past that we have known, observed, got pregnant, and their babies came in 9 months' time. So, based on that regularity or the uniformity we detected in the patterns, we saw a pattern that runs through. We project that in future too, if Ata has also gotten pregnant today, we expect, watch my tone of language, because I want to use that in a very simple way to help you see the difference between empirical law and normative law, okay? We expect that Yaya too will deliver her baby in 9 months' time. How did we arrive at that expectation, that sense of the word law? We think that it is a regularity, it regulates us, just like the law does in real sense. It shows how things should be done. See that? But the empirical law regulation is not based on what we prescribe or what we think ought to be the case. You see that? That one would have been a value judgment inspired law. This one. We are not prescribing what should be there. Value judgment. When we say that all women will give birth in 9 months' time, or all women give birth in 9 months, all metals expand when heated. Anytime you throw a ball up, it will come down. Let's use a very simple one. All metals expand when heated. All planets orbit the sun, go around the sun. We are only describing, D for Daniel, describing what we have observed through experience, the five senses, see? And we can verify. Verification is a matter of the five senses at work. You're either seeing, hearing, touching, tasting, or smelling. We are able to do that to establish the truth or false. That means that claim, that generalization, all metals expand when heated. It's general, you're generalizing. You want it to be true of all metals. It's based on factual observation. Now you know factual. We just revised factual. So you see that empirical laws are factually grounded. They are not normative. You are not prescribing the norm, what should be, what ought to be, what must be. You are not setting a standard that must be obeyed or must be enforced. That is true of what? Normative laws and not empirical laws. Empirical laws are not standards you are setting. Empirical laws are your observations you have gathered into a generalization claim. And you expect that the next metal you will find will also expand heated, but it might not happen. Quata. It might not happen. We may find another metal. That metal will say, me, you can hit me for all you like. I won't expand. We said all metals so far observed expand when heated. That's what we mean when we say all metals expand when heated. It means we have an expectation that from what we have observed so far about the world, we know that metals we have do expand when they are heated. But we are also not oblivious of the fact that it is possible to find another metal that will not expand no matter how you heat it. If we were to encounter such a metal, we will not arrest that metal for disobeying our law that all metals must expand when heated. See that? We will not arrest that counter metal. Look on my screen. I'm going to that slide to show you. If we discovered a counterfactual, this, look at the last part, counter evidence, this. We will not arrest that metal. Suppose a certain yes baby decides to come when the baby is 7 months old. The baby says, I want to be born. You don't arrest that baby for breaking the law of biology, do you? No. You push the baby out at 7 months. Meanwhile, we know babies are supposed to be born at 9 months. But this one says, I'll come at 7 months. You push the baby out and go and change your law, which you thought you had discovered, empirically speaking. You see, you thought the thing was covered and you have discovered it to find out that ladies deliver at 9 months. You will now say some babies can preterm. Some babies say later than the 9 months. And you say some are post-term. The law then changes, I'm talking empirical law now, to accommodate a deviation. When there is a deviation for a law that is empirical in nature, you change the law to accommodate the one who cannot conform. Why is it so? Because all this while, the supposed empirical law was only a prediction. Where is it? Watch, there's it. Only if you said all metals expand when heated, you were only predicting. It's an informed prediction. Why? Because you are dealing with the empirical. It's observation based. So the world is there and you are discovering what is covered. Discovering. You're opening it. Okay? So what you are able to uncover, to discover, is what you come and speak to. And so far, we have discovered tin. It's expanded when it was heated. Then we discovered copper. It also expanded when heated. Then we discovered in that order. So as many as you, the researcher, you have discovered is what you speak about. You project then, when we get to Unit 7, you see why. You project then to say that so far I've observed these metals, they all expanded when heated. Then it means that I should expect, watch the tone. I'm hoping to expect, that's why I said prediction, that the next metal I will discover will also expand when heated. But that may fail, my brother or sister. If it turns out that you find this other metal that will not expand when heated, you will have to go and change your law, which says all metals expand when heated, and say all metals expand when heated, except so and so metal, or not all metals expand when heated, rather so and so and so and so and so. Okay, why? Do we do that with our normative laws? No. When you catch a thief, it means the person doesn't want to conform to what the regulations are. You change the law for that person? No, you arrest him. If it's 2 + 3 and he writes 23, you lash him or give him wrong. Or you stand in class, some of you wrote the commas more than 100 times. You write and write and write. That is the punishment. We enforce it. There are sanctions. That's mathematical law. The same with civil code. You don't want to pay your taxes. It is required as a civilian to discharge your duties towards the state. Traffic light shows red, and you will say, no, media, I think I'm singing, you're driving. You will be taxed. You will be made to conform. Why? Because that one is not an empirical law based on your observation that you have derived and you are projecting into it. That one is how we prescribe that things must be done or should be done. And so these are the two main categorizations of laws. And you see, therefore, that the broad law called empirical law are the ones we also call natural laws or scientific law, science, empirical science. Those laws can fail. So the doctor can say, I have practiced for 30 years. And whenever someone came to my consulting room with these symptoms, they die in 30 minutes. And I just looked on your report from the lab, and you have all of them. You have been sitting here for 20 minutes or so. So in the next 10 minutes, you will die. Based on what? Based on what he knows from the past. 30 years is not a joke. So there's good reason to believe what the doctor said, but it is never a certainty because of the nature of the reasoning. The reasoning is empirical, empirically grounded. It's based on past observations, several of them maybe. But you can have several such instances. The point is, yesterday must not necessarily be the same as tomorrow. Necessarily? No. So if so, then you want to take the advice given to you, but give yourself the possibility of an alternative. That is why science searches and goes back to research and search and research. Research is what science thrives on. Why? Because there is never a certainty. I have arrived kind of mentality, conclusive posturing. No, scientific generalizations, which we call scientific laws, are only hypotheses. They are hyped up theses. They are supposed generalized claims that are subject to further study and further confirmation. Never a proof. When we get to Unit 6, you see confirmation is not proof. It's all coming from the understanding of the empirical and how you contrast that with what the normative sense of the word law. And on that note, the rest is for us to read. So let me call Rochelle. Did I get it wrong? Raquel, or Rochelle, one of you, and then Parash. Rochelle, every day I ask you, it's not me. My mind is full of normative and empirical. So I'm not keeping this one. So I see Rochelle and Parash and Rabia too. And then, yeah, I want to call you in that order. William, you're laughing. And then Eunice and Andrew. Okay, there are new hands. I'll call you. And Joshua is there as well.
Hello, Doc.
Okay, so let's ask Rochelle first.
Hello, Doc.
Rochelle, go ahead. Yes, sir. You have a question?
Madam, please, there are some people in the lobby who are not able to join.
Oh, this thing, I keep saying it. Oh, there's no lobby in my thing. My thing is a free come in, free go. All my age groups use this link. So I don't lock it. It's not locked. Tell the people to go out and try coming in again. I just stopped sharing. Okay, tell them to go out and come in again. It might be their network. I don't activate a waiting room. My thing is a straight walk into the class and straight walk out. Okay, so let them try again.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank
you. Since I'm coming there, I stopped the sharing. I was mistaken. So Michelle can now read for me. Michelle, I showed your colleague this slide. Someone read it for me. Nancy did, and then I think Andrew did this one, or Jerry did that one. So Michelle, you read it for me. Read from here. Go ahead.
Okay. The distinction between factual statement and values judgment therefore helps us to understand general claims of two kinds. Normative principle, which indicates how things will be or how they should be, versus empirical generalization, which supposedly report how things are in fact. Rules of laws of logic and critical thinking are normative in the sense that they capture how we ought to think, not how we actually think.
Very good. So taking from what we saw about factual statement, we say factual statement describe what is there objectively through the senses. It's a description of the world out there. What is there is there. Okay. Value judgment prescribes what should be there. Should. That's why we said beautiful is not in the thing, but taller is in the thing. You can't say you think that everything is point of view matter really. So Nanado is taller than JDF. That's how you interpret it. Then you have to live in the jungle. I said that. When you see belt, a snake, then you call it belt and put on. And let's see if you survive. That place, no one will argue with you. Live in the jungle with animals. When you see lion, call it cat. And see if you survive. Cat and pet it and hug it. The point is, if you live in human society, words have their objective truth, but certain words, even in human society, do not have objectivity to it. Corrupt is one of them. Beautiful is one of them. Polite, ugly. It is not objective. It's always objective. When I say that, we have gone, I don't want to go through lecture 1 again. So if I say my girlfriend is more, mommy, adjective, is taller than your girlfriend, you can't say that because the person I'm talking about is your girlfriend. So all of it said it has made her taller than. Taller is not how you see it. It's in the object. Okay, so it's a description of what is there. But if I say my girlfriend is more beautiful than yours, that one is subjective. It depends on who is looking. Some want short hair, others want long hair. Some don't want to have anything to do with borrowed hair, whether for braids or Mongolian or Brazilian or what have you. It is not yours, it's borrowed. You see the point? Some won't put any kit in their hair, perm kit, nothing. Natural, pimpishi, hard one, nature, and it's fine. You see the point? That these are various conceptions and understandings of beauty. So we'll use that to understand value judgment. Value terms or value judgment, when you have it, it's not a description of what is there. It is a prescription of what ought to be there according to the one viewing it. And so we saw how that leads us to verbal dispute versus substantive disagreement, open texture versus well-defined. And we are now looking at the same thing in what? Empirical versus the normative. So Madame just read again and said, sorry, when we have normative laws or normative principles, they show us how we how we should do it, how we must add our mathematics, for example, how we must marry, how we should, you see that, bury our dead, I'm giving you all the various senses of the word law. We'll go through them, then you see. It is not a description of how animals behave or how people behave when prices of goods and services are increased. That's economics. When when prices increase, quantity demanded falls. Do you know what you say at the end? Other factors held constant. Ceteris paribus. Why? Because sometimes prices might be increased. People will still buy more or even the same quantity. It will not reduce. If it is a necessary good, for example, you don't buy a teaspoon of fuel because prices have increased. How do you move the car? If it's your medication that you have to take, do you say because the prices have gone up, now you take a quarter of the paracetamol tablet when you need 2 of them? If it's a necessary good, this rule won't work. Yet the rule is a description. I'm talking a cons rule now, you see that, of what is there. That is based on observation. The economist, empirical scientist for that matter, his is a social science, observes how people behave when you increase prices and says that when you increase prices of product, people buy less. But because of the consciousness that this one is not a certainty, there is a phrase at the end. Those of you doing cons, you say ceteris paribus, other factors held constant. We hold all the various possibilities constant so that they don't affect the law. If you don't put that there, someone will tell you, but pure water, I use the medication. Some will even buy more when the thing is expensive to show you that you didn't do anything in life. We are the people who are. Look at the footballers and the kind of cars they buy. Watches that you can buy a version of it. They won't buy that one. They want the one that is 3 million something. Then you the other brother sitting there, you see that you didn't do anything on this earth. They did something to feed their ego and to have a certain clout. So the price may go high and high. It won't affect their purchasing power or their purchasing behavior. I just showed you an exception to the rule. Why? Because it is a description of what you're observing. The meteorologists will say whenever the northeastern winds gather at this side of the blah, 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 and it meets with humidity of this and that, it will rain. How did he or she arrive at that observation? So the next time when she's basing her findings and her predictions for tomorrow on those observations, we take it with a pinch of salt. We will be guided by it. What else can we do? Science is helping us navigate a world we didn't create. But we have to be conscious of the fact that science is not giving us certainties when they give us generalizations. No, it's just a method of advancing knowledge about the world. We'll see why the scientists like generalizations in Unit 7. Okay, you still have Unit 6 to climb before we get to Unit 7. The method of scientific, engagement, methodology of the sciences. We'll study that. If you know that you don't have enough resource to talk about all metals, why do you say all metals? Because it feeds a certain heartbeat of science. So we will see that later. Okay, but just so that people don't think, doctor said, I'm going to die. Oh, they said 10 minutes time. Oh, rather than being desperate, can you consider an alternative? Because the doctor may be wrong, or he may be all right only because that is the research available to him or her or the world. That just in case some further researching is done, we realize that mosquitoes can be killed with neem tree. They won't kill people like this. You see that? But if you don't know it, you will say that there is no cure for malaria. You can't say there is no cure. That's a metaphysical claim. Say, I don't know the cure for malaria. I do philosophy. Look at the language. I don't have the capacity to help you take seed if you have these sizes of fibers. Then we as human beings, either in the whole world as scientists or gynecologists, or maybe in Ghana or so and so, we don't have what it takes. It's a handicap of knowledge. You don't know. Doesn't mean the person cannot give birth. Look at the two. Say, I cannot help. That's your inadequacy. So that just in case there are alternative ways, or someone may want to go and pray their way into it, or they might want to go and try some herbs, or they might want to, sometimes just want to even leave the place fallow for a while, and then maybe the system can rejuvenate and you take a seat. The annoying thing that I want you to understand and be able to, as a critical mind, interrogate is where the person is basing their findings on empirically grounded claims. No, so when were you born? When were you born that you want to speak as if you are God and claim that you cannot give birth? And so when they go round, and I'm sorry, my doctor friends, but those who are very seasoned know their limit, but some don't. They'll go around and declare someone that this one, you declared someone that there's nothing that can be done. You look at yourself very well. You can't even stop smoking when you know that I can kill you. Anyway, so what was the whole point of the over elaboration? To show you that from economics, which is an empirical science as well, studying social behavior, to politics, to, you can say that, oh, all the time, Ketu South votes along this line and Bantama votes along that line. So you're a poster. You could make predictions based on these systemic observations you've made. It can fail people. Like, we are in a comfortable lead. It failed drastically, almost embarrassingly. Look at 1 million votes difference. How can that be a comfortable lead? Maybe some Kululu went in. I don't know. But how can a comfortable lead tend to that? It's research and empirical findings that are being treated as if they are certainties. Look at America, great America, Trump and Hillary then. I don't know if you were listening to the news, Hillary Clinton. All polls pointed to Hillary Clinton. People even started calling her and addressing her, Madam President, Madam President. Why? Because the pattern, observations, people were drawing conclusions from that, not realizing that human beings gave you the data. And human beings are not like metals. Like if she says sit down and let me run a test on they will sit. A human person will jump here, go here. So human science is not done like physics, natural science, or social science. And therefore, but they are all empirical. So you have to treat the general claims that you gather empirically with a pinch of salt when you are imposing them onto the future. It might change. If you got all that, then we are good. to go. So one prescribes what should be there, categorization of the word law. The other one describes what is there. That's the empirical generalizations. Okay, great. Thank you, Michelle. Farash, please read this. We'll read everything.
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead.
There is no definition for the word law, but rather, depending on the context of usage, the word law can mean a natural law, civil law, customary law, moral law, law of reason, mathematical law, or divine law.
Look, keep going.
Law is a system of rules or general principles that govern the nature of things or the way individuals are supposed to behave. Laws are expressed in the form of statements. Some laws are descriptive and others are prescriptive.
Well done. Thank you, Farash. Now I can take Rabia to read natural law. You will see that we are only cementing what I have been explaining all this while. Rabia, when you finish this, yeah, be on standby. Go on, Rabia.
Natural laws, also called scientific laws, statements that express laws about nature, that living things, rivers, celestial bodies, etc. They are defined as statements that aim to describe the regularities or uniformities in the pattern of events of features of things we observe around us. They are formed based on our past experiences. For instance, we observe that at a given time, when a fish is taken out of water for a maximum of 5 minutes, it dies. So we conclude that all fishes survive in water. As a statement that expresses an attribute or a property that applies to all fish anywhere, anytime.
Very good. So key things you should take note of again here is natural laws are also called scientific laws, and they are the laws you are describing as what empirical in nature. They are only describing what is there, what we observe. You can put social sciences under such empirical laws, economics. You can put sociology and its findings there. Broken homes produce, social deviance. And you may think that that is that is describing what we should expect. But there can be someone from a broken home that turns out to be more, decorous, more organized than another person from if you like, a pastor in a imam's home. They become truants. So is there a necessity or a certainty about laws that you derive based on how many times you have observed? You're still on that, okay? Madam just showed you one instance. Why would we say that fish survive only in water? It is based on what we have seen with fishes since time immemorial, okay? We have past experiences have shown us something about fishes. But is it possible that we may discover one day soon fish that survive outside of water 3 days, 4 days, they are fine? They can even talk. Is there a possibility? It is. Think of you standing here and making a phone call with your mobile phone. There are no wires connected. Hello? And you are calling someone in Azerbaijan. You are standing in Choco here in Ghana. You are calling someone in Azerbaijan. And in 2 seconds, 3 seconds, the person will say, hello, hey, what kind of witchcraft would that have been before we discovered that? We would have thought this is witchcraft. Who tells us that it's just a matter of time? After lecture, you just stand outside and hit your tie, and you'll be in your room. Is there a possibility? It is. We don't know it yet, but it is. What about those who steal and they say they touch a wall and disappear? We don't have the scientific research to ground it. So we may call it witchcraft, or we may call it, black power. But why it's called black, I don't know. But it might just be a matter of time. Look at Telegram. Those who know Telegram, I don't know if you came to meet Telegram. You are in Ghana here, you put your paper in a machine in your office here on your desk, and someone will see that paper Just would you want to say be some be far away Iceland. The paper you put in your office here went through this machine and came out. Girlfriend is laughing. The person is in where is the farthest part of the head? He or she is there and will also be sitting by a machine, and the machine will pick and the thing will come out. It wasn't going, I mean, in the past, we wouldn't have thought that that is possible. So I'm just showing you that science is only, empirical science is only trying to uncover what a creator has already put there in the question. Don't let your small little brain and what it has been able to uncover make you ever think that you have arrived. It was created. You see, it was created. Maybe human beings can survive even without oxygen for 3 years. We just don't know what human beings should do. Okay, so for now, we think that what makes us live is oxygen. That's why people can't come to terms with the fact that a virgin gave birth. Until I say, and he doesn't want to give that possibility. What if, look at how people inject chicken. Some few weeks or so, eggs lie on the table, become full-grown chicken, and then we take it to the so-and-so places for them to fry it for us to eat. That one day, we think that science has advanced. You scientists, human being, you and I, researchers, we say we have been able to advance. What about the one who created us? So the posture is, I'm hammering that because science is not dogma. When we get to unit 6 and 7, you see, doctrines and dogma are fixed. They don't allow for possibility of change. But science thrives on change. That is why you go and research. If you have already arrived, what are you going to look for again? You go and look again because you are thinking that maybe the COVID vaccine that we thought we had may not be that. Maybe HIV can be cured. Maybe we can walk on water. Maybe magnet. Do you see the sky trains? Those who are a little exposed out there. There are sky trains. There is no railway in the skies. Where does the aeroplane pass? They have their path. You want to wait for them to land before the other. Look at this. It is possible. Just more discovering will get us there. So we don't want you to say that I've discovered 1, 2, 3, therefore I've concluded. Because it is possible that what you thought you knew can be falsified. Now I've started doing unit 7. The falsifying is rather an advancement for science. You have to have that posture. Empirical knowledge, therefore, look at the screen again now, is the one we call scientific laws or natural laws or human science, if you like, or social science, where what is the key thing there? The generalizations, the laws that we arrive at, so to speak, they are like laws. They're not really laws. That's why we said law-like. They are principles, generalizations, like law, almost semra, ametomumla. You know, they are like it. What is the key thing there? They are based on past experiences. Your lady read it. It was Rabia that read that. They are regular. So grandpa has been farming for a while. He says, oh, I'm 70 something years. So since I was 20 something years and I started weeding on this inherited farm, whenever the clouds gather at this side of the hill, it rains. You, those who are a little, you have been with grandpa people a little, you can bear me. Sometimes you'll be with them in the farm and the whole place is cloudy. The clouds have gathered and they'll tell you it won't rain. Keep weeding. Oh, grandpa, don't let this rain beat us. Oh, with this bush, and he say, oh, she on top. And she on top. Keep weeding. It won't rain. But the whole place is, you know, another time too, it hasn't even gathered so much. But when he sees, he say, no, we have to start going. It will rain. Did he use any lab? No. Hey, there's no laboratory, but it's very scientific. It's based on what? Observations upon observations upon observations. Grandma can call you in the house girl, and say, you come. Grandma can't even walk, maybe sitting in her wheelchair or something, grown. Okay. She called the house girl and said, let me see your pants. And when she shows the palm, grandma can give her a knock. Panya, you. How old is the baby? How old is the pregnancy? Because I'm telling you, and she hasn't gone anywhere. She doesn't have a pregnancy test. But she can tell. Meanwhile, maybe you and I, who say we are biologists and what have you, we don't see nothing. They are passing our front until 7 months. Nothing. We don't see. Grandma, 3 weeks. She can tell. It's science. I want you to see that. It's science. They'll say, bring me charcoal. There's palm nut soup on fire or granule soup. Yesterday it was that they didn't heat it well. In the morning, grandma said, you're fast, get me charcoal. What is she going to use charcoal for? To go and disinfect that fermentation. What is in charcoal? You are now busy at your lab doing NACHL and WQRST. Grandma knew it. I think that is what we are trying to show. So it is the constant observation, constant practice, constant seeing that is helping us arrive at the laws. They are not certainties, but they help us guide. So you can predict what is going to happen. When you see the baby with the naked electricity wire line there, and the baby has water on him, and he's crawling towards it, you become prophet with Joshua. You can prophesy what is going to happen. How are you able to do that? What you know so far by observation about what water and electricity, and when they come together, what it does. You see that? So we will go on that one in Unit 7, scientific reasoning, inductive reasoning, the sciences and everyday life. At this level, I just showed you that the regularities, the uniformities, the patterns help us arrive at generalizations that are like laws and what we call, therefore, what scientific laws or natural laws, which are in reality not absolute laws. They are just like laws. Why are we saying that? If it is a law, then when there is a deviation, when something doesn't go according to how it is, if you found a metal that would not expand when heated, you have to arrest that metal and make it expand by force when heated. Is that what we do? No. We don't do that because we are not absolutely certain. Look on my screen, please. That such our statement will be true all the time. We are not. If so, then it means empirical laws embrace the possibility of what? An opposite evidence, a counter evidence. Counter means opposite. So a counterfactual, something that is counter, opposite to the fact. Empirical laws embrace that, they like it. If we were to find a human person that the oxygen is taken off her nostrils, but she's still, and she cannot breathe, and then yet she recovers. In other words, she's breathing in something else. It will be a miracle. Why is Jesus walking on water a miracle? Because we don't expect that. What we have seen all this while is that even your small pen, if you drop it on the pool, it will sink. How can heavy me be walking on water? That looks like against what we know. We want to investigate it further. Right now, don't we see a whole ship and boatload of people walking on water? Why is it that when the boat was floating on water, it wasn't strange? But when Jesus is walking, Jesus and the boat, which one is heavier? Think about these things. Okay? It means we just don't have what it takes to know it. Doesn't mean it is not there. So one is a metaphysical claim, what is there? One is an epistemological claim, a claim of knowledge, what we know about what is there. If we don't know it, we don't claim it doesn't exist. I don't know this minister to be a thief, therefore he's not a thief. I don't know this lecturer to be to be corrupt, therefore she's not corrupt. Who told you that? You're not knowing it is inconsequential. You are nobody in the scheme of the world's affairs. Give yourself that humility and rather say that, oh, I wish I would know, and leave it open that maybe you just don't know. But to be arrogant to say, I don't know it, I don't know anybody that can give birth with such fibroids in your womb, therefore you cannot give birth. It's arrogance. which is not scientific. It's church that does dogma. So when you get to Unit 7, it's pseudo-scientific. There you understand it's coming from here, pretending to be doing science, when in fact what you are doing is dogma. If it is truly science, when someone tells you that I have a cure for this thing, give the person space, let him bring it for research. That is what a true scientist does. You don't block it and say it cannot be. I got anyway. So counterfactual here at towards your left. Everyone look at your screen. Towards your left, you see so many instances of what? Generalizations that are empirically grounded, and therefore we say they can fail. They are disguised predictions. We work with them. We are guided by them. I will not go and touch electricity when I have water on me, a transformer, and say that after all, maybe what they are saying cannot be, maybe it is false. I won't take that risk. I will be guided by it. But just in case I don't know what to do, I will not think that it can't be other than that. You see that's the difference. So look at some instances there. Now it is the turn of Yaa to read. Yeah, read examples towards your left, then we can move on. We are done for this one. I want to start Unit 6 with you. Go ahead, Yaa.
Examples. Example 1.
Yeah.
Every planet moves around the sun in the elliptical orbit.
Hey, Auntie, yeah. Yeah. Did you drink below this morning? Nobody knows which Yao, so be at peace. There are 100 million years on it. Laugh some, they don't even know who it is. Why? Elliptic, okay, from the word secular, elliptical orbit, so roundabout, okay. Every planet moves in an elliptical orbit. Go ahead.
Every planet moves around the sun in an elliptical orbit. Example 2. All metals expand when heated. Example 3. Any physical object that goes up must come down. Example 4. All green plants use sunlight for photosynthesis. Example 5. All fish live in water. Example 6. Every human being breathes oxygen.
Good. So these are all empirical in nature. I'm sure by now you know it means they are disguised predictions. It means they can fail. They can fail means you may get a fish that does not live in water. May. The metals one has already been falsified. There are metals that will not expand, no matter how you heat it. Bibi Ansha, my lady, Bibi Ansha, we heard you. Listen, every planet moves around the sun. You could discover a planet that will not move around the sun too. When you discover that planet, are you going to arrest the planet? So you should see that empirical generalizations admit of what? Possible counter evidence. We don't expect it to have an exception, but they may. And when they happen, we change the law, we revise our inadequacy. We say, we thought all metals expand when heated. Asuma is not every metal. So this particular metal there is good for the queen's earring because it will never expand, no matter how you heat it. We can use it for so and so, the car seat or something, because it doesn't melt. Even if the car is burning, that place can hold and blah, blah. How did you arrive at that knowledge about the world? You thought you knew that all metals expand when you heat it, until you realize that this particular metal or that other one we discovered recently or this other one did not expand when heated. Will you insist that then it is not a metal? We have sacked it from the congregation. Yeah, tuna sign. No, you will change it. That's what we didn't know. That's the methodology of the natural sciences. I spent a lot of time here. If you get this, you are done with more than 70% of Unit 7. Those who read ahead, you see. You're done with more than that. You understand falsifiability already. You understand pseudo-scientific. You can tell empirical content and the reason why uncertainty all key things that you should know in Unit 7. be using a lot of time.
Please, I can't hear you.
Oh, who is talking now? Who can't hear
Please,
me?
I can't hear me. Nancy is
Please,
breaking.
what is your name, my lady? Is it Nancy?
Yeah.
Nancy, can you hear me? Please don't say yeah. Why? I've corrected that several times. Nancy, can you hear me
please,
now?
Yes, please.
Okay, so I was asking Eunice to read. Lady Eunice, are you there?
Yes, please.
Please go ahead. Read for us what you see on your screen now. Afterwards, Andrews will take over. Okay.
Okay. Natural laws are guys' predictions. They predict about future realities. The statement, all metals expand when heated, means that if you come across any metallic object and you hit it, then expect it to expand. But what if you discover a new metal and it does not expand upon heating it? Then we will make the statement, all metals expand when heated, to be false. Scientific laws always depend upon evidence, and they are predictions. They may turn out to be false, so we call them law-like statements or hypotheses. Since they
Good.
describe repetitions and uniformities in the patterns of events around us, they are empirical.
Very good. On this slide alone, I can set about 30 critical thinking questions. Not ABCD. I don't know how to say, not a recall. I can. I'm sure my colleagues can as well. It's rich, very rich, this slide. Look at it very well.
Oh,
Hypothesis there.
I mean, last class, man,
It's okay, thank you. Look at it. So there is hypothesis there. Somebody is stressing a brother there. A brother who is trying to download information. Watch. Can you see hypothesis? The generalizations are described as hypothetical. The hypotheses, they are also described as law-like. They are like laws. We call them disguised predictions. And so they are empirical in nature because they are only reporting a regularity and uniformity. It can fail. All that is going on one slide. Very good. I think you got it now. I want to call, thank you, my lady Eunice. Andrews is next. Andrews, read this. We'll share it to the whole site. I want to make sure I've covered everything I see there. Read this, sir.
Okay, natural law. This sense of natural law in terms of scientific law makes natural law an empirical concept. Natural law as a normative concept is about rules for how humankind should fit in with a divinely ordained natural order of things. This sense of natural law works on the presumption that rationally organized and legitimized social conduct follows from a larger picture of the universe. Hence, we can say things like a particular action is unnatural or that it does not cohere with the laws of nature.
Good. So this is just an interlude, something to help you see how we can present even the empirical in a normative form. So you have to distinguish the two. Okay, it's just a point of note. Now we can move on to the other categorization of laws. We have seen the first categorization, and I've emphasized that a bit more because most of the disciplines we are engaging is empirical. And then the few others are what? Normative. Mathematics, logic, some aspects of physics are normative. So we have to be very, very, very concerned about how we interpret our empirical claims and how, as custodians of knowledge, we impose it on people. We are going to do it. We give a post. We are posters. So we say this person will win the election. This is an election year in Ghana. You see the various posters. What is the research that has gone into it, and to what extent is our analysis geared towards the likely possibility? See that? Look at the tone. What is likely, highly likely probability, and what is a proof? Proof doesn't happen in probable context. So all those things went on in the empirical. Now we want to look at the one we call normative. When we say it is a prescription of what ought to be the case, I want to call Joshua to do that. Josh, go ahead. Afterwards, Comfort will continue.
Civil law and statutory law. Civil laws and statutory laws are man-made laws that represent the legal instruments that governments of states use to regulate the behaviors of citizens. They prescribe how citizens ought to behave in specific circumstances. They are laws backed by force since they come with sanctions.
Good.
Note, they are note, they are prescriptive statements since they express what one should do or must do, so they are normative.
So they are normative. So they are prescriptive. Thank you, sir. They are prescriptive. They prescribe. These laws are not describing what is there. They prescribe what ought to be there. You must pay your tax. You must do so. Let's go through some of them very quickly. The first one says should as is civil laws or statutory laws from the word state. Okay. So what the state requires you to do. They are normative terms of a normative law. All the others you're going to deal with are normative. There are sanctions attached. Of course, how you sanction each one of them is different. So for tax laws, look on your screen, please, everyone. Rules for electoral processes. They are civil in nature. That is the state of Ghana and its prescription on how you should conduct yourself if you are going to vote or you are going to, set up a business and what have you. Look at them. They are all civil. These are not a description of what is there. They are a prescription of what should be there. This is how Ghana expects you to behave. If you don't, we will make you conform. But if the baby wants to come at 7 months instead of 9 months, you can't force the baby to conform. You didn't know that Asumwa, not knowing there can be 7 months. So you go and change your law. But for this one, it's not what we didn't know. This is how we want, see that? This is how we want to organize ourselves in our civil society, okay? So that is one type. More examples for you. Look at customary law. I gave you instances, some instances here. Look, taboos. We don't wear black for our funeral. That would be some ethnic group or cultural group. We do a 1 week first, then we do the 40 days, then we do the 3 months, then we do. Some can keep the body, others will burn it. It's not too common in Ghana though. Even the skirmishes around it, the portrayal. Some of the funerals is not easy. That's how you are expected to behave. You can't do otherwise. If you try to, you will be asked to conform. They come with what? Different ways of what? Sanctioning. You can't go and marry your sister. It's incest. Some it will be called musuo. Okay, that there's a ban on drumming and noise making. It is expected of you to behave in a certain way. That is how you should. You must. You ought to behave. Okay. So some more example, customary law. Then this is more of his cultural norms. I've already talked about them. They are all prescriptive and therefore normative. Okay. I already talked about moral law and how some laws may be legally acceptable and not morally acceptable. I talked about apartheid, talked about Adolf Hitler in Germany then, and how it was the law. I talked about America and how women couldn't vote, even men, blacks couldn't vote. They couldn't go to the same church until recently. We hope it has legally been accepted. So something can be legally acceptable, and yet morally unacceptable. Sometimes they coincide. Okay, so moral norms are also what normative. These are all enforceable. That's Martin Luther King. Okay, these are just some quotes for you to reflect on. Keep looking. Okay, these are all quotes. Then we went to logical laws. We are showing you that the laws of modus ponens, modus tollens, laws of thoughts, non-contradiction, what have you, that we have been looking at. When we say a bachelor has beaten his own wife, we all say, but that is gibberish. If he's a bachelor, how did he beat his own wife? You have a problem with how you are reasoning. Where did we get the rules from? We are showing you that you shouldn't reason that way, value judgment. We are prescribing how you ought to reason. Okay, so logic or logical laws are not describing how you are thinking. It is prescribing how you should think. Mathematics, I told you, you can't go to the marketplace and go and say that you are an intellectual who has been enlightened. So a bowl of rice, 3 cedis, that is, and then fish, 2. One fish is 2 cedis, so you buy fish 2, that's 4 cedis. You add it to your 3 cedis rice. The woman is expecting 7 cedis, then you tell her, no, all I bought is still 1 cedi because I'm a Legon guy. I'm enlightened, you don't know. They will beat you. They will show you that mathematical laws go my screen. Mathematical laws show you how you should add, not how you decide to add. Or you are not describing what is there. There's a prescription of how you ought to add. So if you have 3 and you add 2, it must, non-negotiable, it must be 5. You see, so it's not normative. Look at divine codes. All of them are enforceable, but different ways of enforcing it and who or what is enforcing. See, even a criminal code and a civil law and criminal law are not the same. Sometimes, like the examples I gave you in the past, it is a Jabentum that has raped his own niece. But when they go to court, it will be Ghana, the state of Ghana versus a Jabentum, not the girl, because it is seen that the crime is against the state. If you talk treason, you have also gone against the law, but a different kind of law. I don't want to go over again. We've done all that. So understand that how we enforce them. For some, there is no bail. It's not a bailable offense. Others, it's bailable. Why? Because of the way we want to force you to conform. It's normative. All of them are normative. If the sister wears a swimming costume to the lecture, I told you, it's your eyebrow that you can use and your chocolate. And those who are spiritus, the spiritus blowing of tongues on them is what maybe will change them. You can't arrest them. But if their sister stole someone's iPhone, so and so at their back pocket, they will go to police station. See that? So we enforce all of them, but in different ways. Therefore, they are all normative, divine law. The only exception is the natural law or the scientific laws, which is describing and not prescribing. I think I've said everything. So see the 10 commandments, the commandment, the Sharia law. Adios, I'm done. Any question? I couldn't call the rest of you, but I have you on file. Let me lower all hands, and if there's a question, I'll take it. Then we can start Unit 6, but we have some good time left. All hands are down now, please. If you have a question on the Unit 5, I want to take it. Godfrey, go ahead. Please put your hand up if you have a question. I'll take all before, and we can start Unit 6. Godfrey, go ahead. Hey, I can hear you from afar off.
Yeah, hello, please, can you hear me now?
It's better. Go ahead.
Okay, so please, about what we were talking about there, mathematical logic and those things. So if, let's say, there's a theory that is making you think in such a way. Let's say in math, we are saying 1 + 1 is 2. Since 1 + 1 is 2, you can't do anything about it because that is what is stated for us. So in that case, can it be logical truth?
We are talking normative versus empirical now. This particular, I'm coming.
Okay.
No, I'm answering you. Listen, this particular normative law is logical in nature, but not all normative laws are logical. That's what I want to tell you. Okay. Do you understand? So the example you gave is a logical one because it's connected to the logic of it or the mathematics of it. But civil laws are also normative, and it is not about any mathematics. It can even be for only a few some ethnic group somewhere that practice that, and you are supposed to obey because you came to marry from them. The rest of Ghana will not be forced to obey. That's the point I'm making. Okay, so if it has to do with logic or mathematics, like the example you give, then that normative law will coincide with what we learned in Unit 1, logical. Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Let me take Jerry. You are welcome, sir. Jerry, go ahead with your question. Afterwards, I'll take Tony.
Hello, madam. Please, you said that we said that with the natural law, they are disguised predictions. So we are not
Yes,
so
sir.
certain about it. So why is it that we usually
we are
say
not,
so my question,
Sorry,
why
go
is it that why do we say that, like we say something like all metals expand when heated?
Because so far that is what we know about all metals.
So if you are not so sure about it, why do we say all metals?
You will see why in Unit 7. Because the scientist wants that to become false very quick. It's a method of doing science. That's how science thrives. So true scientists are not afraid to have their theories falsified. They want something that can easily make it false. Falsifiability is a virtue in science. We'll learn it's in Unit 7. As soon as it is falsified, then science hits a target. What target is that? At least the scientist knows one thing for certain. That one will be certain, which is that what not all metals expand when heated. You see the trick?
Okay.
Yes, science is looking for knowledge that is absolutely certain about the world. So if you find a few instances of cold, cough, what have you, immediately you hear that it is declared people should be careful. Cholera, there's cholera outbreak. Meanwhile, how many did they observe? Just a few. Do you know why? It is safer that way than to wait to get everybody in Ghana infected and dead before you say, oh, I'm the last person alive. Now we are sure that it was COVID. Why? Who are you telling? We are all dead. So there's a true scientist who is discovering, look at the language, he's trying to uncover something that is there that he doesn't know yet. As soon as he sees 1, 2, 3, 4 regular patterns, he generalizes. He's in a hurry to generalize. So universal generalizations are more valuable to the scientist than particular statement. You see that it's in Unit 7. If you are teaching a child how to eat, and you start with goat meat, because you want to, and bones, baby, 3 months, you say, I'm going to give you bones so that I get calcium. You kill the baby. Okay, so I get to Unit 7. I'll take time and help you. Right now, you have to learn how to eat rice water. Is it okay, sir?
Okay, madam. Thank you.
There's a logic behind why the scientist likes generalizing in a hurry like that, because it is easier to falsify. And when you make the scientist's theories false, science rather progresses. They are happy. Now they know something for sure, that it isn't every metal that expands when heated. That one they will know because they have one metal that didn't expand. And you can easily find that when you were dealing with a universal one. See that? So that is the logic behind it. Okay, let me take the last one, Tony. Tony, go ahead. Unmute first. Oh, I mentioned someone else here. Yeah, it was Tony.
Hello.
Yes, sir, go ahead.
So can we say that the empirical generalizations are the same as positive generalization?
I don't know what positive generalization is, so I won't be able to connect it to empirical generalization. Say.
Okay, and secondly, you said that the mathematical law are also normative laws, right?
You saw that in your slides, I guess.
Please, said.
Did you see it in your slides too, or you? Yeah. It was I who said it. Is there?
The slide we just pop up right now. They said that mathematical laws are normative laws.
I'm telling you that it has always been there. So it's not you. You said that. I don't want you to make me the authority. That's what I'm trying to teach you. So it is there.
Okay, yes. Okay. I saw it in a slide that mathematical law is.
Don't worry. Yes, it is so. What is the question? Do you have a question?
So let's say if they say 2 + 2 is 4, but I prescribe that 2 plus 2 is not 4, but it's maybe 2. I'll be wrong. But
Then you
why
have
is it
to
that
live in the
they generalize?
jungle. Excuse me. I'm sorry. That's what I was making fun of when I said then the person can feel free and live in the jungle. No one will query that. But in human, you see that? That was what I was laughing about. You can even say that I'm Nanado, I'm President Nanado right now talking to you.
Okay.
Feel free. Do you see the problem we'll have with that? Yeah. So you can't have your own interpretation of 2 plus 4.
Okay.
You can't say right now, I can't say right now I'm the president of Ghana. And I mean
Okay.
it, or I'm joking. Okay, so you can't have your own addition. Did you do well
Okay.
defined versus open textured with us, sir?
Yes.
Good. We are just building on that. Go ahead.
Okay.
Or you are fine now?
Oh, I'm good.
Okay, thank you. Let's take the essential. Your hand is up.
Yes, doctor, please. My question is, for some years now, Parliament is trying to pass a bill on LGBTQ, but they are unable to do it. Can we say this is as a result of the moral law having impact on them?
I think that it is a mixture of different connotations of the word law at play. What we are trying to work out at our parliament is to get a civil or, if you like, statutory law. If it were the moral side or the divine one, we wouldn't have contentions. I think that Islam is clear on whether, you can say that you are a brother and yet you are also a sister. I think Christianity, if you're going factually and looking into the Bible without any interpretations to it, just read literally what is there. He created male and female. See that. But now it is becoming problematic to even reference a washroom that is for male. If you're filling a form, depending on which form you are filling in recent times, there is a male, female, and then, So the contention is, it is not so much a matter of divine law, or, if you like, so much a matter of cultural law for us as Africans in Ghana. You saw the African priest's reaction to what the Pope and the European cohort want us to do. You saw they are all priests, but you saw the African. How many of you saw the news? Even look at their address. They said that one, we can't do it in Africa. We, the African people, will know. So it shows you that what is happening at Parliament is trying to codify, because that one is now a statutory thing. It's not we Ghanaians or we Fantis or we Christians or we Muslims or we so and so. This one is a secular nation that has different groupings. And so what we are appealing to create the law is not necessarily skewed towards one angle and not the other. And then Ghana also lives in a wealth. So Ghana is not secluded from other nations. We go a begging for daily bread. IMF, give us something small. This person, give us something small. So you want to be conscious of how your neighbor thinks about the rubbish you are burning in your compound. See that? You say, oh, but the thing is dirt. I don't want dirt in my cupboard. I've killed all the cockroaches and I'm burning. Good, you are cleaning your house, but that's you burn. You want to be you can't read one line to pass your exam. Because of that, what is happening at Parliament is not just a church of people with a shared interest making a decision, or a mosque of people of shared interest, you see that, with common values. This is multiplicity of values, multiplicity of cultures, cosmopolitan world, and yet highly value-oriented society. So it is difficult. It's not a straightforward matter. But it is not impossible. We have to open our eyes and do what we believe as a collective as we share. It takes a lot of time. So everyone has to be patient and help us do the right thing to help everybody, including the victims, supposed victims as well. Okay, my lady, that is why. So you are right. It's an interplay of moral law, There's some customary, there's some human rights, there's some universal moral codes, there's some emphasis on freedoms, and at the same time, responsibility to all society. There's some divine code there, all mixed together. It's not easy at all. All right, thank you. I'll take the last one if there is any, and then I'll end this recording and just introduce you to Unit 6, then we can go. Any other question? Okay, good job. So empirical versus normative. Prescriptive, empirical is descriptive, normative, prescriptive. Empirical is predictive. It's a prediction of a kind. So it can fail, it admits of counterfactual. If there is an opposed fact, the law rather changes to accommodate it. All of that is opposite to the normative. And on that note, I'm done with the empirical versus the normative. I think I enjoyed myself. I hope you did too. I will end this now and then use the last 30 minutes or 20 minutes or so to do a very quick introduction for you on the Unit 6, which is your lecture 5, the real critical thinking. Okay, give me a minute. Let me sign off for this. Right.